Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live. Mm. Today, we're going to be talking a bit about improving our self-esteem. And just while we're waiting for people to come in, we will, as usual, be discussing a little bit of the news and updates from our various viewers. And I'm just going to get my screens up in the right order. There we go. And then we can be on our way. Oh, hi, Kerry. Good to see you there. All right, so, and Jody, hi to you as well. I must admit, since I last saw you, I managed to foolishly put my head down, and I thought if I just get an hour's sleep, it'll be helpful for tomorrow. Yeah, I should not have done that. I did not want to wake up. Well, it's not true. Of course, I wanted to wake up, but yeah, it wasn't easy. All right, so here we go. I thought what I'd do before we start, or maybe, yeah. I thought I'd just report in that I did make the call so that I can go and see that property tomorrow. But I am really, really concerned about the property is ideal for me. Don't get me wrong. And in terms of how it looks and where it is situated and so forth. The only problem I have is that it sits in a prime location. It is literally within walking distance of a really incredibly useful mall, including a large superstore in that mall. There's a Canadian Tire, which is like a miniature Home Depot type thing, but a Canadian Tire. There are all sorts of other things, restaurants and everything you could want within walking distance. And if that isn't good enough, right opposite the property, there is a beautiful park with a lake and all sorts of things in it. So you're probably wondering, hi, Nana, you're probably wondering, why wouldn't I want to be there? So here's the problem. The problem is that property is prime real estate, and it's a big property. Now, my big concern is if I buy in that location, the chances are that within the next couple of years, they're going to sell that land. Hi there, it's Andy, isn't it? No, R3D is not Andy. It's somebody else we know. I'm trying to remember who it is. Anyway, so my concern is that they will sell the property. And if they sell the property, it is Andy, there we go. If they sell the property, I am left homeless, basically. So I no money. So that's something I've got to really give some serious thought to. And hi, Lauren. And that is a decision that I'm sure none of you would want to make. So if you can believe it, it's an amazing amount of money, and I wouldn't even own the land underneath me. So that's what you got to think about. Oh, it's quite sour. No, that would be buying. Funny enough, out closer to your way. I've going out tomorrow, Nana, to see a property in Coquitlam, and it's right. I don't know if you know the area, but it's really well situated near Malkin Park, and I think it's Malkin. And I'm just really scared because it's a prime location, and it's I'm scared that if I yeah, I do. Yes, I will. Anyway, so it's a really, difficult decision to make, and I will get some advice from my realtors about it. So that's something that I've just got to deal with one way or the other. We're talking about self-esteem a bit later on, but before that, I need to talk about the school shootings because I am certain some of you are concerned about that and probably fed up about that. I'm pretty angry about it, but getting angry apparently doesn't do anything. Yes, there was another one today. Another 10 people died. But as I so correctly said, ask me how many school shootings there were in Canada or in England or in Australia. And, this is like there's only one reason why Canada, the UK, and Australia haven't had any school shootings, in my view. And it's just like the answer is so obvious that, but until America changes its mindset, this will continue, unfortunately. They've got to do something very strong that is different. And apparently this young man didn't raise any major red flags at all, which makes it even more scary. And not only did 10 people die, but he brought along not only guns, Andy, he also brought along pipe bombs and pressurized cooker bombs. And how did he learn how to do all of that? On the internet. So that is pretty scary, and I'm not sure if anybody's got the answer, but if you have, perhaps you could share it, because I was listening to one of the fathers of somebody who died at the Parkland shooting, and he was just saying, I hope no other parent would have to go through what I'm going through, and now another 10 do. So sad. Okay, we'll get on to the happier subjects in a minute, but I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that. Just in terms of birthdays, for those of you who know Lolo, her son Brian and Heather, I wonder if you remember, some of you will remember when Brian and Heather got married. Well, it's their anniversary. For those of you who remember Ashley, oh, sorry, it was Brian and Heather's anniversary yesterday. And for those of you who remember Ashley, who passed, would have been her birthday tomorrow. And later on next week, we have Angela's birthday. So I just wanted to update everybody on those. Beth has now officially won her badge, this one. So I would really like to let you know that this one will now be on its way to Beth as soon as I've got an address. Well, maybe a bit longer, but there she is. This now has her name on it. And my question is, if I can find a leather necklace thing for it, would you like it? Or would you just want it as a button? Neither, Nana. It's a mobile home. Okay, if I can get one, I will add that to it. I'm pretty sure. And not only has Beth earned this, no, actually, I've got some leather. I've got the leather ones. I haven't got one here in front of me, but I have got them. They are with the lobster claws. But that's a good idea if I didn't have them. I've just got to find where I put them. Okay, so Jody, I wonder if you could be good enough to keep reminding me about this, because I know I'm going to have other things on my mind. Right, so Beth is on her 3rd day of not smoking. Wow. That is well, some of us in this room know how challenging that is. By the way, Beth, just keep reminding yourself just for one more day. Don't think forever. Just one more day, or one more hour, or one more minute if you have to. Do you understand? Because sometimes it's just like, how will I ever survive without them? So, hi there, Becca. Good to see you. So, to give up smoking as well as everything else that you've done, Beth, that is pretty impressive. So well done. We're very proud of you. And Becca, how are you doing? Well, I could, the peculiar thing is, Beth, that I try to explain to people how amazing it is. Oh, okay, Becca. Beth, I'm not sure if you can understand this. People don't believe that this is possible, that people can come in and we can discuss things and talk about it rationally, and that people can make changes to the degree that you have, for example, or that Leslie did, or Carrie did, or so forth. And I keep trying to explain to them, it's possible if, the old story, if the teacher is ready. I mean, if the student's ready, the teacher will appear. You've given notice at McDonald's. Okay. So that will take some pressure off you, I guess. You haven't been working, have you? I didn't know you'd gone back to work. Ah, all right. So what are you going to do now? Well, congratulations on doing that. Hi, Chip. Good to see you back. I wanted to just check with Jody. Jody, what time do we need to set our alarms for? Jody had a brilliant idea. She has set her alarm for the time that the royal wedding is going to start, the run up to it, and then another alarm for the time just before they actually go down the aisle and start the ceremony. So I just want to know what time I need to set my alarms for. And why would I work it out when Jody's already done it? All right, fine. So I'm sure that I'm not the only one that would like those two times. In the meantime, well, that's good, Becca. I'm so glad you're going for counseling. You really deserve that. Yeah, I'm so glad. That's a very adult decision you made. Hi, Charles. Good to see you. Your first race of the year. Wow, that's incredible. Okay, Nana's taping it. I'm going to wake up to see it because I don't have taping facilities. So I thought I'd show you two paintings I did this week, just on the usual principles, so that you can see. This one I really liked. I thought that was really quite pretty. And that's got greens. I don't know if you can see the colors of that. Green, black, and a slight purple in it. And then The other one I didn't like, but as Yvonne says, show it, people might change your mind. So, do I paint over it again or do I leave it? Actually, it looks better when I put it up like that. Yeah, Andy's here. Yeah. So, isn't that funny? When I look at it in a reverse image, yeah, that's what it reminds me of now. Huh. All right, maybe I won't paint over it. I'll gloss it up and see what it looks like then. So, how many of you are going to watch the royal wedding? And how many of you are, I don't know why, I got quite triggered with, I got quite triggered with the idea of Prince Charles walking her down the aisle. Now, I hear he's not going to do it all the way. I hear she's going to take herself down for the first part. And I think when they get to the two families through the nave, I think that Prince Charles is going to come forward and then help her that last bit and hand her over, so to speak. I wondered whether she'd do it on her own. You remember I said that I wonder whether she'll do it on her own, because I just felt that she would. But I'm really quite sad that her mother didn't give her away. I think it would have been a wonderful gesture in terms of the power of women, if, especially as her mother, was the primary parent. So that's just me, and I got a little triggered with that. Oh, I heard it the other way round, Nana. So you could be right. So you're saying you heard that he's going to help her on the first part? Hmm. You're probably absolutely right. And we will see, right? Doesn't really matter. Anyway, she's going to do some of it on her own. And he's going to do a little bit of it. Huh. Oh, so then he'll probably walk her up to where the nave is, and then when they get to the nave, he'll just sit down with the royals. Yes, I believe CNN starts at 1:00 my time. That would be 3:00 your time. So it's even earlier. So you're saying, let me see if I got this right. You're saying the actual ceremony will be at 7:00 Eastern, right? So that would be 4:00, 4 a.m. my time, Pacific Standard Time. Okay. The actual ceremony takes about an hour, and then we've then got the waving goodbye to them on the steps, and then they're going to do the carriage ride through Windsor, and then return back to Windsor Castle in the carriage up the long walk. So that will be. Yes, I think a royal. Yes, I just think it should have been anybody but Charles. Funny enough, I think that because of the Diana thing. She's walking solo until the choir. Yeah, that's right. And what I'm saying is that's in the nave. So as she gets to the choir, that's where the two families, instead of a choir, the two families will be facing each other. Okay, and hand her over. That's what I thought. Yeah. Hi, Jonas. I would have loved to have seen William do it. That's funny. I said that at lunchtime, Nana. If it's going to be a royal, it should have been William, and it didn't matter that he was best man. He could have handed her over and then taken his position as best man. Somebody could have stood in for the best man, getting him ready. Um, I really did think that too. I don't know why I'm quite emotional about it all. I've been sort of crying off and on. I don't know why. I'm going to be useless tonight. Okay, so and do we all still agree that the chances are she will not be wearing a big princess ball gown? She will be probably wearing something very slim and elegant. Now, there was part of me today, I don't know why, I wonder if they kept Princess Diana's dress. And if they did, I wonder. Yeah, I think it'll be a sheath dress. Yeah, I think it'll be very flattering to her. Not that she needs to have anything very flattering. Jonas has seen Diana's dress in person, really? It was a little over the top, but it perfectly suited the, fairy tale theme that didn't quite work out, turned out to be a nightmare. But I thought at the time it really fitted the whole. Well, I think that would have been wonderful to see a whole exhibition on her. Wow. Where was that, Jonas? I think it's wonderful that you went with your grandmother. I can remember taking Yvonne's grandson, to see the remake of The King and I. I thought it was really, I don't know why, to me, The King and I is what I call a classic. It's like Gone with the Wind and The King and I and stuff like that. And I think every young person should see, some of those classic. He went to West Edmonton Mall in Edmonton, and my grandmother loved it. That tells us everything, Jonas. Not so much in your case. Yeah, Becca, I think it's like The Sound of Music. I also think, strangely enough, Bridge Over the River Kwai is a must-see movie. There are all sorts of movies that I think in a lifetime. How about you guys? In a lifetime, which sort of epic movies would you make sure that your children or grandchildren got to see at age appropriately, obviously? And like the Bridge Over the River Kwai, I would not suggest any time soon, but once they grow up. But it is a great movie in terms of the whole. Wow, it went through everything. You saw her toys, her dresses, her outfits. Wow, that is incredible. But I gather you didn't enjoy it as much as your grandmother did. And did the proceeds go to a worthwhile cause? I cannot imagine that that stuff was put on loan without it benefiting her charity. Now, I didn't ever see that, Erin. That's interesting you should say that. I never did see A River Runs Through It. Okay, that's good to know. That's not going to go back on my list now. Yes, thank you. So, if anybody else has got any, and I say that because I think we automatically make sure they see all the Disney movies, and they definitely remember them. I find it quite amusing when I go to visit the children because it's like I go now, which princess is it that wears yellow? You know? And they look at me like, how old are you? You don't know? I find that's the easiest way to do it. Jonas, funny you should say that. Did you know that Elton John is going to be playing somewhere? And I'm not sure whether it's at one of the functions afterwards, but I did read somewhere that Sir Elton is actually not only invited, it makes me tear up, but actually will be playing. All right, we should get on with our topic for the day. That was not good. I should not have remembered that. All right. Time check. 26 minutes. Thank you. All right, everybody. So here we go. In case any of you are ghosting, let me just make sure, for those of you who might be watching but we can't see you, just welcome. First of all, we welcome anybody that likes to visit the program, but even if you don't get seen, I would like to just let you know that if you have a case study of any sort, you've got a story that you think people would learn from, just write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com and let me have the story, and also let me know whether I can use your name or not. And the reason I say that is because if you say it's all right to use my first name or please don't use my name, and then I will honor that. I'm pretty good about doing that, as a lot of people will tell you. So today we're going to be talking about how to build your self-esteem. But before we do that, what's the bad news, Jonas? And let me know if I can share it out loud. Hi, Ange. I was just talking about you. It's your birthday next week, isn't it? Thursday, I think. I wished you happy birthday earlier this week until I realized, next Friday. How's the job? It didn't work? That is impossible. Okay, what did you do a big ball? Like sort of like this size? And throw it in. Wow, I've used nothing but that for over a year. So I know it works. So somewhere I didn't describe it properly. Wait a minute, that's déjà vu. You just got back from training. No. Don't put them in pantyhose. Pantyhose will create static, not get rid of it. No, put them in a sock, is what I said. Put them in a sock and tie a knot in the sock and then put it in. Did you throw them away already? One will do it. I'm not going to ask how you got pantyhose, but never mind. For loyalty training. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, sounds good, Jonas. Let us know. I really have to tell you guys, it really does work. I haven't bought bounce since then. So, what is self-esteem? Any of you want to give a shot as to what it is? If a moon, well, what shall I say, an ET character came down, and said, okay, explain self-esteem to me, what would you say? It's about how you feel about yourself. Yes. It's your confidence in your own worth and abilities and your self-respect. So why do we need it? Yes, it's a little bit more than that, actually, Jonas. It's about understanding that it's not just how much you accept yourself, it's actually being truthful about um, your talents and abilities. I think quite often we pretend that we don't have the talents or abilities that we have. So I sort of found a quote about it that I thought was quite meaningful, and it said self esteem is important because it heavily influences people's choices and decisions. Yes, Kerry, sometimes you're the fly, sometimes you're the windshield. Yes, exactly. And Kerry said sometimes she's the dog and sometimes the fire hydrant. Yeah. And I think, do some of you find that as well? That some days you have high self esteem or higher, and then other days it just is tanks completely. So be aware that, yeah. So what causes that change? I was talking to Jody today about, emotions being a bit like corrugated iron. So, that it's sort of some days, they just go, you're in peaks and valleys all the time. Yeah, I think if you have constant low self-esteem, that means you have some issues you need to attend to. And I'm glad that you're doing some counseling because that will probably help you, Becca. One of the good things about going to counseling is that they will help you with that. Yeah. So that is awesome. And I know that you're saying that that's always been an issue for you. So this might, in a strange way, be a benefit for you because the grief counseling, has caused you to go for counseling. And then the counseling hopefully will give you a gift that you didn't have before. If you stay in there long enough and do the work. It's not easy stuff to do, work on yourself, especially, as an adult, but it's a really good thing to do. So I thought what I do is give you a little test. So when I say a test, a little example of um, the difference. Would you uh, sort of so what I'd like you to do is this will be easy for Becca. So to start off by imagining you have low self-esteem. So when you have low self-esteem, for those of you who know what that feels like, what actually does it feel like? So for those of you who know this story, what does it feel like to have low self-esteem? This is so other people can recognize. It's like I'm in a dark hole. Feels like I can't do anything right. I feel frustrated and isolated from everybody else. That's probably because that's exactly what you're doing. You feel completely worthless. Okay. Yeah, you feel like you couldn't make a decision if you had to, right? Just want to, keep away. Yeah, I just want to hibernate, stay away from. That's that isolation thing. And yet, can you see that all those behaviors are actually what creates even worse self-esteem? That's the peculiar thing. So let me ask yourself, or ask you guys, just to imagine for a second. Yeah, God, I want to curl up in a hole and not come out. Yeah, I know that one. You feel completely worthless, like you're nothing. You feel like a failure. Yes, totally understand that one. So, so imagine you're in that space for a second, and do you think when you have low self-esteem, you'd be able to go out and buy a new outfit? That's what we're going to talk about, Beth. Do you think you could? All right, everybody's going, no, 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 no. Okay, what about go and speak in public? How about what I've got to do? How about going out and buying a new home? Yes, it's interesting, Jonas, that a lot of people say that they intend to go out and buy new clothing when they're in a funk. Yeah. And how about how would you react if you get if you have low self-esteem and you get a health scare? What would happen? Never gonna keep me down, yeah. Um, so how do you think you would handle a health scare if your self-esteem is low? Right, you'd feel very empty and afraid. Yes. So now for a second, can you do this? Can you imagine that you've got high self-esteem? All right? You're really fired up and you're feeling really like you're in charge of yourself. So let me ask you something. If you had really high self-esteem today, would you be happy to go out and buy a new outfit? Would the outfit you buy be different? Yeah, what would you be more likely to buy if you went shopping with high self-esteem? Would you buy something? Ah, interesting. Jonas says no, he'd be more content with what he has if he had so high self-esteem. That's an interesting perspective. Yes, Beth, isn't it funny? You'd probably be more likely to buy brighter colors. All right, that's a very interesting one. Um, can you imagine that I had to have a fairly good self-esteem to be able to go out and talk in public a lot? Yeah, and just get, we get more sexy clothes, when you've got high self-esteem. Yeah, I think you take more risks with your clothing. You wouldn't go for the safe thing all the time. So do you think that, the fact that I was a professional speaker, do you think that I always felt like I had high self-esteem? And the reason I say that is because I always had to make sure I got myself in the right mood to speak, right? It's a bit like doing the broadcast, all right? So you have to sort of get yourself into the right mood. So it is possible to change the way you feel about yourself, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Um, do you think that in buying the home, my new home, I will need to get my self-esteem in the right place to be able to even do it? Because I'm risking an awful lot of money on something that, could be risky. Yeah. And how many of you remember when I got the health scare last year? Did I handle it from a negative place or a positive place? Can you remember? Most people hate public speaking. They fear it more than death in some cases. Yeah, it was a really, and Angela as well had yeah, and it definitely is very scary. And selling a house is very scary after all these years. So, so what I want you to do is to say that, we all have moments of high or low self-esteem. And what can change it? Have you noticed that some days you can really be feeling quite confident about yourself and you're going, "Oh, I like the feeling of this." And for some reason, by the next day, you are in trouble again. So, what changes our self esteem? Yes, I agree with you, Beth, that you need to actually force yourself to go out and do something every day. Right? Angela is probably one of the bravest people I know in a lot of ways. Obviously, Erin and Jody dealing with their illnesses and so forth, and Kerry dealing with what she deals with. But it's like, there's, I look at certain people and they've had a really tough year, and yet they force themselves to go out and live their life and get a new job or get, um, do new things. I look at Beth. It takes real courage to go out and suddenly start eating when you haven't been eating enough for a long time, or to, decide to quit smoking. That's an interesting concept as well. How many of you have noticed that the amount of sleep you get has an impact on how much your self-esteem builds? Um, if you're not getting enough sleep, it's like not getting enough food. If you're not getting enough sleep, it affects your body. And just so that for those of you who weren't here at lunchtime, I thought I'd let you know that my sleep apnea, I don't know why I always do that when I'm talking about sleep apnea, but I do. I'm inclined to do that. My sleep apnea has come down from 16 times an hour, waking up choking, to today it was point 0.6. So yeah, Kerry's saying that she's not as brave as people give her credit for. She just survives on caffeine. Well, and I don't think I'm nearly as have nearly the high self-esteem that people think I have. Yes, I can feel now, Jonas, that 8 hours sleep, that I'm actually able to get 8 hours sleep is incredible. What's wow, Ange? On the sleep apnea? Yeah, that machine may make me look like Darth Vader, but I want to tell you something, it works. Yes, Erin, and people, give you credit for far braver than you think. Yeah, that's what I've got realtors for. I'll have them check it and send it to me. Thank you, Nana. I appreciate that. It depends. I would say it's more than most. Yes, I'm definitely averaging more sleep. But the difference, Angela, is that I am getting restorative sleep. What they proved was I was sleeping at night, but I wasn't going into REM. I was waking myself up every 2 minutes, either through sleep apnea or restless leg. And and I did mention this on a broadcast recently that my respirologist recommended I take calcium and magnesium tablets to stop the restless leg syndrome. And that also has stopped. So instead of waking myself up between the two over 30 times an hour, in other words, I wasn't getting more than 2 minutes sleep at any time, I now actually have an incident less than once an hour. And most of us have a minor incident about 5 times an hour. But we don't necessarily wake up. It's just that we have a little moment. So yeah, I'm definitely getting more sleep and I can feel the difference. Not today with the bags under my eyes. I've got allergies going on. So let us talk about the self-esteem thing. So, what do you guys do? Because that I always think we've got the answers if we care to talk about them. When you need self-esteem, what do you tell yourself? Yeah, Carrie's saying that's a very important thing. Try to be kinder to yourself, right? Because I think what happens so often is that we beat up. We think we are way worse than we actually are. You remember I was saying at lunchtime, I'm really scared to go look at this property because I might want to buy it. And that would set up a whole lot of other stresses for me that I don't particularly want. As long as I don't see it somewhere I want to buy, I won't have the stress of trying to sell my house. But you imagine if I find something I really want to buy, um, then I'm going to be under the gun because I will want to buy it subject to selling my own. And then I got to come home and get my house very seriously ready to sell, which would be very stressful. All right. So that's a good one, Chip, to write down 3 things you're grateful for. What sort of things do you write down? Yes, sometimes other people can help you. But you know what I found, Kerry, is that when we need other people to tell us good things about ourselves, then that is attention seeking in some ways, all right? I think we need to be able to do it for ourselves. So, what do you think a person with high self esteem says to themselves? Okay, Angela, go for it. Yes, you find that just acknowledging the basics, like I'm really grateful to be able to drink clean water. I'm really grateful to be able to breathe at night now. Yes, Carrie says that it helps her to remind herself that she is kind, smart, and important. Maybe not to everybody, hey, Carrie, but to a lot of people. Yes, I found through life, Erin, and I would agree with you on that one. I found through life one of the most difficult things is to get people to say what their good points are. If you ask somebody, what are your bad points, they can tell you in a heartbeat. So how many of you can actually give me let's start with 3. Can you give me 3 good points about yourself? If you had to say to the alien, "I'd like you to meet so and so, and these are her 3 good points that I've seen," what would you say about yourself? So, Nana, what 3 things would you say? If you're saying you could do that, what would you say? Yeah, I'd like you to meet Carrie. She has a big heart, a kind smile, and open arms. Isn't that nice? Who wouldn't want to meet Carrie? And I'd like you to meet Nana, who is trusting in her God, and she loves her family and is a very good friend. Angela is strong, funny, and loyal. And do you mean emotionally strong rather than physically strong, Ange? Chip says, I'd like you to meet Chip. She loves dogs, she's patient and caring. Yeah, I think, that it's much easier, though, Ange, for us to say nice things about other people. What I want to encourage you all to do is to say nice things about yourself. I mean, we could all say really nice things about one another. Yes, I think that you are too. What do I say about myself? If I had to introduce myself to an alien, hi. I'd like you to know that I am pretty darn talented. I am very resourceful, and I have a wicked sense of humor. And probably a few other things, to be honest. But so, what made you feel like crying? Yes, I think you're strong, feisty, and kind as well. It's a magic concoction, a combination. Angela, by the way, is also an incredibly organized person. When I say organized, she's the sort of person you would want around you. She would make, I'm sure she's done it already in her life, but she'd make a really good maid of honor type person. You know what I mean? Because she just she just can turn chaos into serenity. Just leave that with me and I'll sort it out. She's that sort of person. Okay, and we're not going to say it for you, Becca, because that would defeat the object, all right? And that is why it's important to go to therapy. If you can't see the goodness in yourself, then that's why it's important to get therapy. Yeah, we all know that Angela is hysterically funny when she. I mean, yeah, we know you do, Becca. Yeah, so but that's a negative. We said positives, not negatives. Your job is to find positive things to say about yourself. So we know your negatives. Do you know your positives? Wow, that's interesting, Chip, right? Just recognizing the little things and characteristics about myself and that everybody shared made you emotional. Well, you made yourself emotional. We know that, but There you go. That's good work, Becca. Right. Yes, you are sensitive, loyal, and generous. And you added the negative onto that they exhaust you. All right. For those of you who don't know what Baker is, it is a trip that Ange, Leah, Alice, and I did down to visit Erin and the dueling bangers. Yep. And Baker was a town we went through where Ange and the people nearly left me there on my own. And I was quite scared. and Shit Creek Road actually isn't called Shit Creek Road, but it's close enough. It was a very scary place for me. But some great memories that will make me laugh for the rest of my life. So for that, I am very, very grateful. Actually, meeting Angela as well, for that, I am very, very grateful because I think whether we like it or not, Angela and I have got a bond that will be there for the rest of our lives. And as with Erin and with Leah and with Alice, it's just like when you've meet up with 4 people you've never met before, then it's just like, yeah, that's an experience. So let me ask you something. Well, it depends what you want to see it as. You see, Becca, it's about, is the glass half full or half empty? Some people can see being empathetic as a negative. I actually don't think I could do the work I do if I were not empathetic. So it depends. See, that's the difference, Becca. That is why self-esteem is a very personal thing. It's not what you have, it's how you see what you've helped. Yeah, what you have. All right. So if I see everything in my life as negative, I'm drawing negative thoughts to me. I'm drawing negative people. I'm expecting to be, I probably, don't take responsibility properly for myself and my happiness. I blame it on everybody else, or I'm so sad because nothing in my life goes well. Well, if I don't do anything, why doesn't anything go well? Do you know what I mean? It's like half full, half empty. Yes, to understand whether your glass is half full or half empty, you have to know how it started. Well, I'm not sure whether I agree with that, but if that's the way that you see it, then yeah, I don't think I need to know how the glass started. I need to know whether I choose to feel very fortunate in my life or whether I feel very unfortunate. That's my choice. Yeah. So I believe that what has made me happy in my life is to actually um, get better control of my boundaries. I have to say that. And that helped me sort of control how much negativity came into my life and how many people were sucking me dry. And I think that's really important, that you need to make your own happiness. And if you make your own happiness, you will build your own self-esteem. So to me, if you can see that the way you live and think about your life is whether you have high self-esteem or not, let me put it this way. Do you think the people that get into a rocket ship and fly off to the space station have to have pretty high self-esteem? And if so, why? If you have high self-esteem or higher self-esteem, do you handle stress better? So I'm trying to imagine an astronaut, that sees the world negatively. Can you imagine what they would do um, to the mentality of the crew? which is why they all have to train for so long and hard, because they need to push them to the limit to find out, whether their confidence is actually real or whether it is something they put on. And the way they check that out is through the training. So one of the ways that I found when I'm feeling that I'm getting down on myself and my self-esteem isn't good enough, I really recommend this to a lot of people, and I know I've recommended it to some of you. I actually try to go through, you can do this on Google, just look for positive adjectives. Gosh, it's difficult for me to say. Right? And just look for positive adjectives on Google, and it'll give you pages of them. And just type out, just literally print out any page. And whenever you're feeling down on yourself, what I do is I will look at this positive list of adjectives. Let me just do that so I can demonstrate to you. Hang on a second. Positive adjectives. There we go. All right. So then I've got this list in front of me. And then I say to myself, how would a very adaptable, adventurous, affectionate, ambitious, compassionate, considerate, courageous, All right, let's get some more going. Hang on. I'm working on a few more here. Affectionate, ambitious, amiable, compassionate, considerate, courageous, courteous, diligent, empathetic, good one, Becca, exuberant, frank, generous, gregarious person. How would they act in this situation? Does that make sense to you? So can you see that just by asking that question, you can actually change your self-esteem? Do any of you have somebody that you keep in your mind and say, how would so-and-so deal with this? Right? If you haven't got high self-esteem, ask, have somebody in your mind that does. Yeah, I do it. You know something, Erin? Whenever I'm getting down on myself, I will put a list like that up on my mirror for that very reason. And I just remind myself, yes, how would Sal do this, right? If you think that I've got high self-esteem, you might say, okay, I have no idea I wonder how Sal would do this. Yes, I used to have a really good friend of mine who was a very smart woman. She was like the senior vice president of a bank. And whenever I wanted to make a good decision, I would think, I wonder how she would do this. All right. Because I knew that she not only was very wise, but she also was very practical. Okay, so what do you love about watching the older videos? That's interesting. And so, you look at it and you go, find somebody that you think, that makes sense to you. It's nice to know that the older videos are still being watched. Thank you. I saw a huge rise in one of my videos recently. I couldn't believe it. It was just like, wonder what happened there. Somebody, for some reason, one of my videos just had a whole lot of views on it that I wasn't expecting. So do you see that we are responsible for our own self-esteem? I actually, Beth, you know something? I don't see myself as an amazing or strong person. Can you believe that? That's not how I see myself at all. I think I am fairly talented. at different things, and I do believe I'm resourceful. I do not consider myself to be amazing at all, and I definitely don't. I don't see myself as I'm strong again, as in this sort of strong or emotionally strong. Yes, Jonas. You see, once you set up those adjectives going through your mind, it changes your thinking. Yeah, and that's why I've always done it. I've always realized that if I just read through a whole lot of positive words, I will find a better answer to things or be able to handle it. Now, okay, so Kerry's saying that the man in her life tried to was trying to play connect the dots with her freckles. That is so cute. And she was just fine with it until he pulled out a Sharpie. Um, now let me tell you the ultimate in high self-esteem. And some of you will have heard the story, I think, but I can remember doing a really big speech up in Whitehorse in um, the Yukon, and it was so funny. I was the keynote speaker, and they'd flown me up all the way, and I'd gone out on a dog sled between the two speeches I had to do. I did the opening of the convention, and then they took me out on a dog sled for a picnic in the middle of Lake Labarge, and then they brought me back, and I was doing the closing address. And I literally was doing an exercise about how, when people are really rude to me, how turning the rude question back to somebody actually deflects it. If somebody says, well, I think you're a so-and-so, and then, you just say, it's interesting. What is it about being a so-and-so that's important to you? And just in other words, don't hang on to it, just pass it back to them. And if you keep passing it back, right, it loses the pain. But what I was doing is I had a magic, not a magic marker, a black marker in my hand. And I was saying, and it hits you like this. And I knew the cap wasn't on it, but they didn't think that I knew that the cap wasn't on it. So each time I did and then the arrow hits you like this, and then it hits you like this, and then this is how you respond to it. And then, another one hits you. And of course, I knew what was happening to my forehead. I was covered in black spots all over my forehead. Now, can I do that to myself if I've got low self-esteem? All right? Can I do this? Right? You see, this is the whole thing. I think part of a high self-esteem is that you can laugh at yourself. Right? Or, and this is a talent that Angela has, the ability to laugh at the smallest things. Angela has this incredible ability. She's not here at the moment, but she has the most incredible ability to make almost anything funny. And that, I think, is a real talent. So to me, it's like, understand, that we are responsible for our own self-esteem. If we rely on other people to improve our self-esteem, then we are victims. All right? If other people have to keep, oh, you are there. That's good. All right. But Angela, I was just saying that you, to me, one of your greatest talents is your ability to see humor in so many things. All right. I mean, you really make life amusing. Life isn't amusing for you, but in a lot of ways. But boy, your ability to make things funny, I think, is your saving grace. I think you would have had a heart attack by now. I am pretty sure that you recovered from your health scare because of your humor. And so to me, I really, I no, don't thank me. I thank you. I don't think I have laughed so much, so hard in decades until I met you. You in my mind were somebody I needed to meet because I will never forget how funny you are and how much you can embarrass me without even trying. But it's like, um, but you do such a good job. You make a great duo. It's a pleasure to work off you because you are so good at it. Yeah, you made me laugh so hard. Yep. But it's like you have to know that's a rare talent that you have, Ange, and how much I appreciate it. I'm not joking. That will stay with me for the rest of my life. I will, it's like when I want to be brave, I think of Aaron. When I, you know, when I want to have compassion, I will think of Jody. So I sort of, yeah, we laughed, we cried, and we peed. It was that funny at the time. So, and I still do, Ange. That's the joke, is I can still be there in a second. Right? I can still laugh that hard just thinking about it. I can still see us, doing that journey, or walking the strip. And I think about Lauren or any of you, and you help build my self-esteem, if you like, but it is my job to build my self-esteem. Am I making sense? It is not something somebody else should be doing. So I wanted to give this example of this property I'm going to see tomorrow. And so there is a balance here between having a high self-esteem and trusting your instinct. All right. So I've got to be really careful because whether I use just my heart or whether I use my heart and my brain. Do any of you know what I'm saying here? Because I can see this place tomorrow and say, and then, I can look at it and go, oh, I really want this. I really want this. And then I've got to think, but what are the risks of this? Now, I understand that that's a negative and the what if monster, but I do need to think about the risks because this will probably be the last time that I will have money to be able to spend on a house. So I've got to make sure that I spend this wisely. Becca, the thing is, you don't bring people down. We can choose to let you bring us down, or we can also choose not to. All right. So, but yes, I think there is that reality as well, Becca. And it's like I think there's a difference between being honest, and we all are negative at some time, Becca. That's not that you and being you got to think about it. Am I always a downer, right? Or do I actually, do I have good things to report every now and then? And if the answer is no, then my question is, why not? And the answer normally is because I'm not doing enough to create that, right? Well, the problem is, Ange, I've seen this place, but it actually is. Yes, and that's why I'm so delighted you're getting some help, Becca, because they will help you get back into that. And it's not something that we can do for you, really. My future husband could live next door. How many of you would just love to see that one go down? Oh, why am I laughing? Yeah, Becca, the thing is that you can go back to that. You will be able to build yourself back to that if you choose to. All right. And something, you know that grieving is a painful process and it'll take you. I think the other thing that grieving does is it does bring back negative memories. When I say negative memories, I don't think grieving brings out the best in people. You will be a bridesmaid. Angela, I do not want to be walking down some aisle peeing. You know, I love you dearly, but really, girl, I know you'd be standing on my train. Oops. Lordy. Do you know I've never been married in a church? Hey, gosh. Lordy, can you just imagine that? So how many of you will watch the wedding tomorrow, either on the replay or whatever, and cry a great deal? And the question that I have is, why do we cry? Lord, that was worth a laugh, wasn't it? Okay, and we'll see which one of us gets married first, right? So why do we cry when we watch weddings? Anybody know? It's going to be 1:00 in the morning here. YouTube is streaming it. That's good. All right. So part of the reason is it can trigger a memory. Yes. How many of us will watch Meghan walk down the aisle and think of Princess Diana? Now, funny enough, did you find that when Catherine married William? How many of you relived Diana? Because we all want the fairy tale. Yes, Angela, I think that has a lot to do with it. You know, you sort of going, I mean, I wouldn't want to marry a prince myself. I used to think I would want to. And my mother wanted me to go to school with Princess Anne, just so that I could, you know, have a chance there. But can any of you imagine that one? Yes, we want to live happily ever after. And wouldn't we wish that? But you know, the truth is there such a thing as happily ever after? I think that being happy is something we have to work on really hard. So what has this got to do with our self-esteem? But we all want love, yes. I think we do. We all want love. What else do we want? It's not just love, right? But that links back to what we were talking about last week, Angela, you know, that really there are just two emotions, love and fear. Yes, we need to enjoy the one tonight because there'll be years before the next royal wedding. Yeah, we all want love and happiness, and we all want financial security, and we all want, you know, we've got a whole list of wants, right? But the reason that we don't have them, let me ask you something. If you walk into a room and there is a really unhappy person there, will you gravitate towards the unhappy person or will you gravitate to the people with a big smile? Okay, Nana. You gravitate towards unhappy people, Jonas. Why? Yes, you will find that most people will be attracted to happy people. All right. So, and most people with self-esteem, strong self-esteem, will not want to spend a lot of time with people with low self-esteem. Yes, but you see, the thing is, when you got to think about this. If you gravitate to people who don't challenge you, if you gravitate to people who don't have good energy, then what you're doing to yourself is you are not giving yourself a chance to learn, to grow, to laugh, to enjoy. If you spend your life constantly with unhappy people, what are they going to do? What happens to you? And it's not that unhappy people aren't good people, because they are. But what I'm saying is, be aware that if you automatically go to people who are unhappy, yes, and when the interesting thing is, though, Becca, that really the trick is to heal yourself, not others, right? And so my question is, would you rather laugh or cry? Yeah. So so if you want to have better self-esteem, then go find out how people with self-esteem live their life. They do things like, I don't know very many successful people who don't train themselves to be. Yes, they do bring you down, Angela. They surely do. So the thing is this, that you cannot hope to be in a good space if you are constantly looking at the negative of stuff. So if I believe that I am a loser, and I only mix with people who think they are losers, I will actually fulfill that prophecy. All right? And the chances are I probably will be bad mouthing positive people. Have you noticed that one as well? Yeah. I've always said that one of the things I noticed about being a professional speaker was that the negative people in the room would automatically not like me because I smile, or because I trip, or because I wear that particular color. And the positive people will all like me because I smile and because I trip coming up to stage, or I wear that color. You see, it's exactly the same stuff. It's just how they interpret it. Yes, I think so. But you see, Jonas, do you think that you can be vulnerable whilst you also have high self-esteem? Because what you're saying is that vulnerability only comes with low self-esteem, and I don't believe that. How many of you really? Oh, I must have very low self-esteem. How about that? I didn't know that. I don't agree with you. To me, one of the most amazing things is somebody with self-esteem that is self-deprecating. If you can laugh at yourself with high self-esteem, I think that is charming. I don't think you need to have low self-esteem to be able to be vulnerable. I think you need character to do that. Yeah. To me, it is character. Yes, but that's not what we said. I think you can have moments of depression and still have high self-esteem. Oh, let's take most geniuses we know, all right, fluctuate between genius and depression. That's really interesting, though. You see, I don't see them being um, diametrically opposed. I think part of being self-actualized is to accept the fact that I have days when I am depressed and days when I am firing on a lot of cylinders. I don't see that. I think being vulnerable is part of that, and I don't think that any of us need to be, all of the time. And that to me is where I will say to people, I think you need some help. If you are constantly depressed or depressive, then yes, you need some help. But if you have a couple of days where you don't, you're feeling a little depressed, I think that's human nature. I think the fact that you can admit it is character. I agree with Morrissey, but I don't read it the same way as you do, but that's okay. And I spend a lot of time out of choice with people um, you know, who have issues, but I don't feel that we wallow in it, right? What I'm always constantly trying to do is to um, make it something that we can be vulnerable about, but it's okay. So think about that. And how many of you will, you need a break? You don't need a cigarette. I would agree with you, Jones. I don't disagree with you. I think there are an awful lot of people who have masks on of happiness, and they're not. I totally agree with you. But I don't believe that the only people who are vulnerable are people who are depressed. I think that vulnerability is absolutely a character trait. I think the fact that Prince Harry could talk about having mental health issues was not a depressing thing. I thought that showed great character. All right. So I don't think that you happen to be grieving or you're depressed or whatever alone is a negative thing. I think it's normal. I think if you are constantly complaining, if you're constantly doing this, that, and the other, then that is an issue. If you're not able to balance out, that is where the issue comes in. And that's when you need some help. And that doesn't make you a bad person. That just means that you are no longer able to do that change for yourself. Excuse me. So I would ask, for example, Beth, you've done a lot of changes this month. How is your self-esteem? See, that's the whole thing, which is when we start challenging ourselves, do you understand that it also sometimes is easier, higher than it has ever been? Do you realize that you're challenging yourself more than you ever have, and you're disciplining yourself more than you have? Do you get that? You see, what gives us self-esteem is what we do. Yeah. So if I do if I do this painting and say, "Oh, I think this sucks." Actually, I don't think it sucks anymore when I see it like this, but if I do that and say, "Oh, I think that sucks." All right? Do you understand? I could make that truthful. Or I could leave it for a few days and put it up against a camera and go, at a distance, that looks a whole lot better. But I needed to see it at a distance. I was too close to it. So I think that how we see the world, is that glass half full or half empty? I think what I'm about to go through, I agree with you, Jonas. Sorry, I just want to just say this. He's made a really good quote here. To me, and this is what he says, to me, I think it's all about what is the healthiest way to display that vulnerability. I think the suppression of vulnerability does not equate to strength or happiness, but ignorance. Yay. I totally agree. I don't know if you've noticed, Jonas, but when people try and put me on a pedestal, I bring it straight down again. Please don't put me up there. I'm a very normal person, right? I have good days and bad days. And yes, I can be a really nice person, but boy, you don't want to see my bitch from hell. I will do that because I don't want people to think that I am not a normal person, because I am a normal person. And how many times do you hear me um, expose my vulnerabilities? And the point that I have about it is I am not scared to tell you about my vulnerabilities. People use it against me, some people. They're the people I know not to trust, but some people will use them against me. But the truth is I have vulnerabilities. So why would I hide them? I do that quite a bit. Whenever I used to hire staff, I always made them do this exercise I was talking about. Give me your top 3 good points, and now give me 3 of your bad points. The funny thing is, very few staff members want to tell you their bad points, and I say to them, "I'm gonna find them out in a heartbeat, so I'm just really gonna let you save me some time. And the reason I want to know what your bad points are is so I can cover for you." Because you see, I think, it's the same thing as how many of you have noticed that Jody does a great job of being an admin person for us on the broadcasts. Now, it's not that I can't do it, all right? It's just it saves so much time if Jody just writes the note down, and then what will happen is at the end of the broadcast, she just sends me back the notes that we talked about. It may be 1 or 2, but the thing is, it means I can carry on concentrating on the broadcast. But I am so appreciative of that because I don't have to stop my train of thought. I can just keep on with the broadcast. So to me, I think what makes a great team of people, what makes a great group of people, is that we all know that we've got vulnerabilities. Okay, so Eliza John, hi there, Eliza John. And she says, "I have not broken your heart, you have broken it, yes. And in breaking it, you have broken mine." Wow. Yes, you see, but we do that, don't we, Eliza? Is that we actually do blame other people for what we do to ourselves. You are Wuthering Heights. Yes, of course. Why did I not recognize that? I should have done. And Angela will tell you she knows all about that one. right? And so do I. It's like it took me a long time, though, Eliza John, to understand that I do it to myself. That my low self-esteem is a self-inflicted wound. I am not honest enough. Let me talk to you about this. I am not honest enough, to admit my good points. I am totally lying to the world when all I can see is my bad ones. And vice versa, if I only talk about my good ones or my bad one, you know what I mean? It's like if I go either way of that, I think what is balanced, and you need to have some balance in life, is to be able to see both sides of it. I think it's okay to have some good days and some not so good. And so to me, I will ask you now, what are you going to do about improving your self-esteem? Let me hear what you can do. I quite agree with you, Eliza John, but it's amazing how many people are scared to be vulnerable because they think that it's less than. Well, I'm not doing as many trips, but yes, that would actually. Hi, Sakura. Yes, Angela. Angela is asking, for those of you listening to this on the replay, Angela's asking, since I'm getting more sleep, does that mean that I won't be burning out as much after I do trips? Yes, Angela, because if you think about it, so much, I was using so much adrenaline just to keep going during the trips. All right. It was and it was exhausting my body. Oh, that sounds like fun. Yeah, I know you enjoyed your father-in-law, so I'm certain you had a great deal of fun. Yeah. Yes, Jonas says, remembering the bad days. I want to tell you something that I just see life as a journey now, Jonas. And I know it comes with good days and bad days. I see life as a journey where it doesn't all have to be happy every day. I think it just has to be. I see my life now as some days I will feel healthy and some days I won't, and that's okay. I will see that some things are going to be easy and some are going to be more difficult. But how I process them is up to me. And some days I will process them like an adult, and some days I will process them like a child. Does that make sense to anybody? So to me, when I process things like a child, it doesn't do a great deal for my self-esteem. When I process like an adult, in other words, when I can see both sides of the story, when I understand that, my mood, my self-esteem, and my life is my choice. People don't do it to me anymore. I do it to myself. I really get that now. You know something, Eliza, and welcome. We have quite a few viewers that pop in from Ireland. We're all going to be having a quick sleep so we can watch the wedding soon. But you know something, I was saying earlier, Eliza John, that how many school murders were there in England, in Ireland, in Canada, in Australia? None. All right. No, I got it all. Don't worry about it, Eliza John. We don't worry about typos here. We read the communication. So Eliza John, top of the evening to you. But here is the thing. This will not change until America changes its idea about young people being able to get their hands on semi-automatic guns. I'm not saying that they have to get rid of their Second Amendment rights, but I am saying, for goodness sake, stop making it easy for young people to get their hands on semi-automatics. If they'd had to do that with a double-barrel shotgun, right? They would have to reload. And believe me, and you would have saved at least half those lives. So I'm very angry. But I'm so glad you popped in to say hello. Yes, so what I'm saying is though that you've got to look at this and go, you know, England had a beheading, for goodness sake. It's not that we don't have these bad things, but how many young people have been shot to death in America this year? I really don't believe that school children should be in fear of going to school. I really think that is criminal. I think schools should be a safe place for children to go, whatever their age, whether it's kindergarten or whether it's high school children. I don't think they should be bullied. I don't think they should be shot at. And any country that believes this is an okay thing and doesn't do anything. I was saying, why don't we have, maybe they need to have air marshals in the classrooms. You know what I mean? It's like if you're going to allow the Second Amendment, then you better have air marshals in each of the classrooms. God, they learn a lot. They will improve their education. But it's really it makes me very, very angry. I said this morning, I cannot believe I woke up to another school shooting. I really thought Sandy Hook would be the last one, and it makes me really angry. I really did think Sandy Hook would be the last one, and how wrong was I? I want to tell you the fact that teachers should be paid danger money today. Well, I'm sorry. I think they may have to do that. I think I how did that gun get into the school? I thought schools had gun detectors these days. I think clear, but if that's what we have to do, I don't think. What are you carrying in a backpack that you shouldn't? And our clear backpacks, you can say, well, people will want to steal them more. All right. So to me, this is about. I am in favor of doing anything that saves a child's life. Yes, I do believe we have to do so. They have to do something, but they're not going to. The NRA is too powerful, and they put too much money into backing elections. So it's not going to happen. And until one party stands up and says, we will not allow automatic handguns to be available, except for use in gun ranges or whatever, it's not going to happen. No, and that's not the solution, Beth. That is all right. That maybe is keeping your children safer, but at the moment, but it's not the solution. The whole world isn't capable of homeschooling their children. They don't have the ability. Homeschooling is a full-time job, and it takes a certain mentality. And I want to tell you something. I don't think that it would be, the right thing for a lot of parents to try and do. That means that one of the parents is going to have to not work. And seeing you too, Sakura. Yeah. So, that means that we would have the working population, Beth. I don't see how that fixes the problem. Also, one of the problems that you have with homeschooling. Yeah, you know something, uh, Nana is saying that, in Canada, in Canada, we just shut down the schools until they did something. Wow. This is Eliza John is saying that there was a guy who cast it on Vaughan. Is it one that I would know? He seemed like a harmless guy. And last June, he killed 3 of his co-workers and then himself in a supermarket that he worked in. Wow. No, I never did meet him. Yeah, so, I mean, this is the whole thing. If I think the parents are getting angry enough. I just hope they get angry enough at the election time. What's happening is this is this is an NRA issue, right? The NRA puts too much money into electing officials. Yeah, you can never really know somebody, but it goes to Jonas's point that an awful lot of people pretend to be happy when they're not. Yes, and that's why I'm saying that the voters have to change this. Until the voters stand up, but the NR and stand up against the NRA, this is it's not going to change. And we keep thinking this is going to be the last one, and it isn't. Yeah, the government wants the money. The I mean, I'm pretty sure when we hear the truth about what happened in the last election, I think the amount of money that the NRA paid to the Trump organization, however they did it. And by the way, that money came from the Russians, from what I hear. Um, so it's really horrible. So to me, I think it's really important that that we understand that we, the people, need to change this. If we're not getting the action that we require, we need to stand up and be counted. How did we get the vote for women? We stood up and were counted. How did we stop the Vietnam War? People stood up and were counted. How did we stop things, slavery? You got to see that this doesn't happen just by government. The people have to demand it. And I just don't think that they have been strong enough. So yes, and something, there's Second Amendment rights, but something, Eliza John, I remember talking to somebody who was very strong on Second Amendment rights here one time. And I said, just explain to me why you need the guns. And they said, well, we need to protect ourselves against the government. That's the whole thing. And so I said, what will that look like? And he said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, what will it look like? When will you know to pull out your guns and defend yourself against the government? Will they be coming down the road like stormtroopers, and that's when you'll bring out the gun and defend yourself?" I said, "Because the government already, is in your life through every electronic medium known to man. If you think guns are going to protect you against the government, think again." That might have been true, in the 1800s, but it sure as heck is not true today. It's a massive problem. The gun lobby is a massive problem. I don't have any problem with, I don't like it in Canada. I wouldn't want it in Canada, but if you want to keep guns to protect your home, then have a handgun. I quite agree with you, Eliza. I know, isn't it terrible, Nana? That's the other thing is how many of you are scared that we're going to get numb? It's a bit like how rude, President Trump is. You almost are going, oh, well, here he goes again. It's like it has become normal, and that's scary. I think that is, believe me, Eliza John, we know how many are in denial. Right? So this morning, when I got up and heard there was another school shooting, I just wanted to throw up. I'm going, what does it do to your self-esteem when you wake up and hear there's been another shooting? Do you feel like, oh, this is going to be a good day? But how many of us will watch the wedding because although we will emotionally cry through it, we will believe the fairy tale again? And that is why the world watches a royal wedding. Yeah, you know something, Kerry? One of the places I went to look at yesterday, the guy that owned this place had a whole wall of canned food. And I don't mean one or two cans, I mean a total wall of canned food, and then some more in another place. And I'm going, this is a survivalist. He's packing food away ready for whatever. Wow, do you know something, Nana? I don't know why, but I had not given that a thought. So Nana is saying, for those of you on the replay, Nana is saying she hopes there is no trouble anywhere and she just worries about the wedding. You think there might be a bombing or something? Well, let's hope not. Let's hope that's not I don't even want to even consider that. But there are enough crazies out there in the world, Nana, anything is possible. Yeah, I don't have a problem. If you want to have a Colt 45 to defend your castle in America, I don't want it in Canada, but if that's what you then I understand that. But for goodness sake, if you want, I actually don't even mind you using an automatic uh, gun if you're at a gun range. I think there's a right place to do things. Um, do you know what I mean? I think you should be able to train on them because I think that is actually not a bad skill to have if you ever went to war or whatever. You've got a whole group of people who are automatically trained to use those type of weapons. But I just think, again, Nana, you're right. So how often is it the parents that allowed their children to have these things? And how did he get to the gun? Yeah, was it locked up? But the problem is the father will say, well, the child had to be able to get to the gun in case he needed to protect himself. The only purpose of a semi-automatic gun is to kill. No, I've seen people use them for target practice. And, I was as well, Beth. Okay, sleep well, Carrie. But, I think, that the amount of security that you cannot see for the wedding will be amazing. One of my sons, Dougie, does work on the local marathon here, and you cannot believe the level of security they have for something like a marathon. So, a royal wedding, they will have been planning um, that for a long time. The most dangerous part of it will be, yeah, and great to see you, Eliza John. Thank you so much. The most, funny enough, the greatest risk I think will be when they are in the open carriage. I quite agree with Jonas that, I don't think target practice is worth the life of a single child. So, but we can continue to talk about this, but it's until Americans do something about it, I don't see it changing. But as I said, I don't think there were too many school shootings in Canada or England or Ireland or Australia or New Zealand today. And the reason is when we don't carry guns. Right. Beth, I don't have a problem because of your Second Amendment rights. I don't have a problem about being members of the NRA. What I have a problem with is allowing semi-automatic guns. That's my issue. And yes, Eliza John, I have seen the woman to whom she was a nanny. Yes, isn't that interesting? You own 3 semi-automatics, Beth? I've got to ask why. And the same question. Why own 1 semi-automatic? Because we need to understand. On Jonas's point. So let me understand why. So it makes you feel powerful or what? I grew up on a farm as well. I don't have a semi-automatic. I grew up on a farm, and I grew up on a farm with guns, and we used them for the right reasons. Yeah, we want to understand why semi-automatics. What do you get from using a semi-automatic? You see, I don't buy that I grew up in the farm, that's why. Well, we had to have guns because, we had problems with pests, rooks, and things, and you know, during the time of maximatosis, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of that, but, you know, we had to have guns to shoot sick animals and so forth. So, you know, to me, well, we're trying to understand what you use the semi-automatic for. All right. So do you use it for target practice? Do you use it to kill things with? That's what we're trying to understand. Well, no, that's what we're trying to find out. You know, you're saying, okay, I got 3 semi-automatics. Now, if you're saying I've never used them, then why are they a gun collection? You know, then the reason I have them is because I collect guns, right? Which is Jonas's question. Anyway, it is your right to do what you wish to do in a country that allows you to have them. Aren't you? Do you have ammunition for it? Do you have ammunition for your 3 automatics, semi-automatic? Exactly. Then it's not a coin collection. Yep. Okay, so then it's not a coin collection. It is a very dangerous collection that, in the hands of the wrong person, could kill an awful lot of people. But I'm pretty sure you got them locked up and safe. So that is, unfortunately, you're right in the States. And all we're saying, those of us who live in countries where we don't allow that, is that it's very difficult for us to understand why people get their jollies out of that. I think there are an awful lot of people who have collection of samurai swords. Oh, you know something, Beth? We have heard that argument so many times. Yeah. That it's people that kill people, not guns. But it's people holding guns that kill people. So if the guns weren't there, but I still, don't get me wrong, I still, you know, uphold your Second Amendment rights. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against you owning a handgun. I just don't think. Yes, exactly. A samurai sword won't commit mass murder. This father had his guns locked up. Yep. So anyway, it's a very, very difficult subject, obviously. Beth, we love you to bits, and we're very proud of you. And we will take a deep breath and try not to imagine you with 3 guns every time we see your name. And you know, we're not against you or your collection. More people die from driving cars as well. So, you know, I understand. But how many of you, your vision of Beth has changed forever now? You know, it's just like, I will just see her holding her semi-automatics. You know, don't mess with Beth, people. She's got automatics and enough bullets for a zombie apocalypse. Never mind. All right, everybody, I'm going to go and get a little bit of sleep before the wedding. I hope you all enjoy it. What treats do you all have ready? Just as a matter of interest, those of you who are going to watch. Yes, I think this is the whole thing. I don't think that our kids should be at risk, but I should stop talking about it. Somebody's got popcorn. Jody is having cucumber sandwiches and a tea party. I think it's so cute. I have got Tostitos scoops and dip, and also something else I can't remember. And then, oh, so you're not going to be watching the wedding. Okay, that's good for you. And then I trying to think what else I got ready to eat. I've eaten some of it already. I bought goodies. Do any of you know goodies? Yeah, that'll be sad for you, your last day there, Becca. But try and remember the good times you had there and what you learned and the people you enjoyed. And you don't have to say goodbye to the people if you are in a small community and will continue to see them, like when you pop in for a quick Big Mac. Oh, Chip, how can you not have got in your snacks ready for the royal wedding? Oh, you see, the thing is, we've got to have food because it's in the middle of the night. We've got to keep awake. It's our excuse and we're sticking to it. Coffee is going to be high on my list as well. Jonas, we are so sad for you as we are for Becca. It's a very difficult time when you are grieving. And I know it's lonely and we know that it takes a long time. I lost my best friend, Jonas. Did you know that? When I was just 18. She died in a car crash and they couldn't get her out because of her seatbelt. The seatbelt rule had just come in England. And the worst thing was, Jonas, that I had actually leant across and put her seatbelt on her to make sure she was safe. And she died because they couldn't get her out. So, I had to live with that. And so I know a little about losing somebody close to you. She had been my best friend. We had gone to boarding school together. She had been my roommate forever. So it is really important. Thanks, Kerry. I will. Jonas, the way that we do that is you need to write and ask me to give you Kerry's email address. I have already seen that Kerry wants me to pass it on to you. So I will do so if you write. Okay? That's how we do it. I just won't do it without the other person telling me it's okay. And then I will give you Kerry's number, and it's up to you to then contact Kerry if you want to. No, you know something? Don't be sorry. It is part of what happens in life. People get born and people die. And for some of us, it's a very painful time. And I want to tell you, as you get older, you lose more and more people close to you. And it's just a very sad thing. She didn't die. How did you lose her? Because you actually told us, I believe you said, I lost her. And that was what made people think that you. I apologize for misunderstanding it. So I just want to make sure that you all work hard at building your own self-esteem. Don't wait for somebody else to build it for you. It's really nice if you have somebody in your life that builds your self-esteem, but boy, it is not their responsibility. It is our responsibility to do the work we need to do to boost our own self-esteem. And you will make better decisions and you will have more fun and you will live a happier life if you do that work. If you don't do the work, then be very careful about how much you mix with negative people because it is very difficult. So what you had was a gosh, you know something? You are the second person this week to talk to me about a toxic mother. Okay. I think I will be a work in progress for the rest of my life, Kerry. So I totally, yeah. It's like it's ongoing work. You can't just do a couple of days and think that's it, I'm done. It's like, you need to spend your life working on keeping your self-esteem up because boy, the world will want to pull you down. All right, everybody, I've got to go and get some sleep. This is Dear Mama Sal, thanking you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your stories. I will take down the chat as soon as I can get that done and leave the replay up for anybody who wants to go through it again. I know some people like to do that. And most of all, thank you for your honesty, everybody. It does help other people. You might not think so. So just be gentle with yourself if you can. But on the other side, do the work you need to do, whether it's go to therapy or do meditations or, I found that doing, self-help type tapes and things helped me a lot to get my self-esteem up. Don't expect it just to happen because it doesn't. You are not looking after yourself. This is Dear Mama Masal saying bye bye for now, everyone. Bye.